Today, we'd like to offer you willpower. We all have goals, achievements that we can see will make life so much better when we get there. Some of us are dreaming about being healthy, financially free, or stronger in our marriages. We need willpower to be disciplined enough to actually do the hard stuff, the meal planning, the hard conversations, the budgeting. But you get tired. You do a lot physically, mentally, and spiritually, and it's hard to stay strong after a long week. Heck, after a long day. You've made so many decisions by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you deserve a break. So your willpower drops. You make decisions from exhaustion instead of your goals, and another month goes by without any progress. We've all been there. So today, we're sharing how we pivoted from feeling low willpower and decision fatigue to finally feeling unruffled enough to stick with the goals we set. And believe me, if this type B messy middle child can find a way around the willpower struggle, so can you. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Weekly Fellowship, the space that brings faith-filled women together to inspire and empower each other. I'm your host, Reagan Clement. I'm a life coach and the proud founder of the Rising Tide Fellowship. Today, our gathering is fueled by the belief that one of the best ways to support our God-given goals is to spend time among high-quality people, encouraging you, setting high standards, and making your struggles and your infinite growth feel normal. Brought to you by the Rising Tide Fellowship, we're more than just a community. We're a gathering of growth-minded women of faith engaging in group discussions, Bible studies, book clubs, and online courses. Weekly Fellowship is not just a podcast or a YouTube video, it's a space where we come together every Thursday at 12 p.m. Central for a live, interactive, podcast-style conversation. This is where we share insights for your life in an engaging format, and here's the best part. At the 30-minute mark, we invite you to bring your ideas, perspectives, and questions to the conversation. Your voice matters, and we truly value the connection that we are building here. In 10 episodes, we'll share the details of what finally transformed us from stressed out list makers into the peaceful women who can actually, finally follow through. So whether you're joining us during your commute, your workout, or a quiet moment of reflection, thank you for being here. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So welcome to a rising tide of incredible women. Okay, so I have 2 speakers here today, Kamaya Mayer and Audye Gonzalez. Kamaya, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Kamaya Mayer. I am a military spouse of going on 15 years. I have 6 awesome kids, and we are doing a second back-to-back run of living overseas in Europe. So that is kind of us in a nutshell.
Awesome. Currently in, I'm going to mispronounce it, Stuttgart.
Stuttgart. Yes, I say it incorrectly too, but that's as close as I can get. Stuttgart, Germany.
Awesome. And Audye Gonzalez is in I don't want to say El Paso, not El Paso technically. Where are you exactly?
Santa Teresa, New Mexico,
Beautiful. Thank you.
right outside
And
of El Paso. Yeah.
tell us a little bit about you, Audye.
Yeah. I am a mom, a wife, a coach, and most importantly, a daughter of the Most High. Business owner, all these things. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm also a life coach in the Rising Tech Fellowship. Thank you for having me, Reagan.
Thank y'all for being here. This is going to be a good conversation. I personally wanted to invite these 2 because I've worked with a lot of people who have implemented routines successfully and taken a really busy life or a chaotic life and really started to put in some strategies to move into to being able to actually have some willpower, to be able to follow through, to be able to be disciplined. And these 2 women are just shining examples of what that looks like. And they have very different lives, but you guys have done such an amazing job of implementing this. And they both kind of weren't super on board with it to begin with. I mean, I'm just going to be honest, like we both had to really overcome some hurdles to get there. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing the details about really what worked for you and what changed for you. So let me start just by giving you like a 2-minute rundown of what this topic is about today. It's about how to increase our willpower so we can follow through, be women of discipline, and finally achieve our good and holy goals. There may be many underlying reasons why your willpower is low. Perhaps you're carrying a big cross in this season of life, like illness or an aging relative. Perhaps your spouse travels a lot. We all have valid reasons for feeling exhausted physically, mentally, and spiritually. And this discussion today is not going to make those crosses go away. We're not even pretending to do that. Instead, we're going to focus on what we can control. Some studies show on average that we make about 35,000 decisions per day. Choices. That's about 2,000 choices an hour. But even if this number is greatly exaggerated, because I always kind of second guess when I'm handed a statistic like that, even if it's greatly exaggerated, how can we think strategically to get this giant list of daily decisions and these tasks that we do every day completed without being too drained? How can we take this giant list of decisions and cut it down and make it a more sustainable number? I think the answer that we all don't want to hear is routines. And we could take our giant list of decisions and really create a routine out of a lot of those decisions to make them automatic, put them on autopilot. These really easy actions that we can do to remove some of the stress of our minds, freeing us up for greater mental capacity. And when we have greater mental capacity, we have more energy to follow through with our goals. Our rate of discipline increases as our number of decisions decreases. So we've all tried routines though, and we all have our own reasons for disliking them. So let's just dive in and get some honesty here. Kamaya, can we start with you? Can you share kind of maybe what were some beliefs about routines that really that you struggled with over the years?
I'd say honestly, it took a lot of first initially, routine to me just felt overrated. And what it ended up being after a lot of breaking down all of the barriers to it, the root cause of it was that it felt like another checklist that proved my failures. And so my self-worth, my self-identity, my self-image was so impacted by this concept that my contribution, both of them linked together, that when I didn't do the routine exactly as I had, the super over ambitious routine, that if I didn't make it all the way through, I was just worthless. I had no value. I forgot that I was a woman of dignity. So I really think that for me was it. That was the lie that I believed for so long that kept me from wanting to even embrace the freedom in routine.
That's so real. Audie, do you want to share some to that?
Yeah, mine sounds really similar. I I had the belief that it was too hard. Like routines were like I thought they were overrated because they were for people that weren't like me. Like they were for people that had like their ducks in a row, you know? And so the entire time I was like, there's no reason for me to have a routine. Like I'm living in this chaos and a routine's not gonna fix my life. And I didn't realize what a routine was either because Kamea mine was very similar. It was like I was like, if I don't do this, I have to write this out. I have to figure it out. That's the first part. So first I have to figure it out. And then when I commit to this, like if I stray from it at all, like I failed. And that's just not true. Um, so yeah, I would say that like it had to be perfect and it had to be the first way we did it. Super overly ambitious. And yeah, it was just wasn't for people like me.
Hmm. I'm gonna actually share here too because I didn't tie it to my self-worth. Mine was just really a matter of not having the skill. Like I just didn't know how like my sister was more type A and more all together, and I was like, I'm just not like that. That was my belief, right? Like that is just not me. I'm more free spirited, I'm more spontaneous, all these things that basically allowed me to be chaotic. And so when I first learned how to implement routines, I shared about it in a big Facebook group, and the women clawed me to death. You guys, I left that group, and I don't do that. I'm very tough. I'm very tough social media. They clawed me to death. And Kamaya, with you saying that it directly made you feel like a failure, like you were worth no dignity. Like, of course they clawed me to death. Now I understand. Of course, you can't go in there like rubbing their wounds, like putting salt in their wounds. That's basically what I did when I shared my routine, but it's because I didn't see it like that. I just thought it was a lack of skill for everybody like me. So thank you. Oh, that's just so cool to see that like this is deeper. Being unwilling to learn how to do routines could just be a skill, but it could be deeper. It could be connected to your whole worth. Your worth is on the line every time you consider doing a routine. I'm not doing that either. So what was something that helped you pivot, Kamaya, from decision fatigue to kind of having a peaceful flow in your days?
So once I was able to identify that lie and recognize, oh, yes, no, daughter of the Most High, like I've got this, my dignity is untouched by any of that. Healing part of that was honestly freed me to play again. And I mean, it's, I laugh because I got bubbly excited about getting all of my multicolor pens out to get my massive whiteboard and a calendar up and writing it in, and each kid had their own color. Whereas before that was chains and it was scourging to my soul to see these things. It became beauty and art and liberation. So, and it was one step at a time. It wasn't like, oh, I have to do all of the things all right now. It's like, oh, I can play. I can see, does this fit? If it doesn't, okay, and let's find something else. Let's pivot to something. So I think that was really it. That lie kept me immovable, and suffering, and being able to see myself as a whole person, more than just the tasks that I do, that became the freedom to move and be flexible and be gentle with myself, to gain the skills that I didn't have, because it was both, right? It was a self-worth and contribution, and then it became a skill problem as well. And so then I was able to gain skills and enjoy finding which ones worked best for myself and then with my family as well.
Thank you for mentioning it's like the mindset part and then the skill set part. And it has to be both, right? Like if our mindset's great, then we can just jump straight into skill. But that is so poignant, like so perfectly said there, because you can't, some people right now are promoting that you can just think your way through a problem, right? You can just change your mind and it'll magically happen. And that is just something that I feel so vehemently against because of my cancer story. I'm like, you cannot think your way out of cancer. Stop telling people that. It makes me so frustrated. But you have to do the thought work first. Both are so important. Thank you for adding that. That's very necessary to this conversation. Audie, what about you? What helped you pivot?
Yeah, no, I think I don't know, like I think about the decision fatigue specifically, and I didn't realize how heavy of a burden that was. Like before marriage, it was hard, and in the first episode, I talked about holding these like giant standards that just didn't work for me. And so I still had these giant standards. You're still trying to make all these decisions to have it work, but there was no flow about it. And before marriage was hard. When I got married, it got harder. And then when I had my daughter, it was like this crushing feeling. It was like it was impossible. And there were so many decisions, and I was the only one to make those decisions. Like I was the only one that could do it. Um, and so there were like underlying limiting beliefs there that have taken a long time. I've been sick over the past couple of days. Life has been, I was telling you, Reagan, earlier, I was like, we've got some chaos going on over here the last couple days. And before, I would be so down on myself because I'm like, I didn't do laundry like I was supposed to do. I didn't follow this, I didn't follow this, but really leveling up the skill of pivoting specifically helped me realize like, oh, I don't have to take on all of these obligations. Like they're not all mine. They don't all belong to me. Like I'm able to delegate things to my husband. Um, and then creating these routines and these flows. Sometimes I don't even like the word routine just because it's like it sounds so, and that's what I thought a routine was. It's like this is so strict and you have to follow this every single day. And it's like, whoa, like calm down, like be chill. And sometimes I like the word flow because that's kind of what it is. Um, and so once I was able to implement a flow and pivot, those were the two things that really shifted from okay, I'm actively making a billion choices a day to the fact that I'm like, okay, actually, I'm not making a billion choices a day. And if I decide to make one choice and have that freedom and play, like Kamaya was talking about, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you're supposed to implement that into your day. Um, get out the color pencil. I mean, Kamaya, we are sisters of the same soul, I swear. Like, bring me the colored pencils, give me all the sticky notes. I'm gonna make the schedule. Um, but yeah, pivoting, absolutely. Learning the skill of pivoting helped me pivot from that decision fatigue.
You mentioned something there that made me think. I wanted to give a specific example to the audience about um, having that flow, because this is something that I just cannot believe, how many decisions do I make with my children before 8 a.m.? Right? We're up. It's like, am I going to work out? Am I not going to work out? Are we going to do our coffee together? My husband and I, are we not going to do our coffee together? Oh, well, we do the daily readings every day. Well, I always like to do these two little devotionals after. Sometimes he will, sometimes he won't with me. Like it just, how many decisions are we, what are the kids going to eat? What are they going to wear? What are we, dogs in, dogs out. And so by 8 a.m., it's like 1,000 decisions. Actually, we know it's actually like 4,000. And when I switched it and said, like, here's the routine, and like we made it together, it feels like there's one decision being made for the morning block of time. Because it's all the same now. It's like, here's what we're gonna do, here's what we're gonna read, here's what we're gonna wear, here's what we're gonna, it's all done before, and we know it's the same thing. And so it feels like one block of time that I'm managing instead of 4,000 little tasks. If that makes, we following there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Audie, you kind of mentioned, so if I asked you like, what's a technique or a skill, you mentioned pivoting. Is that really the thing that you're actively using right now to stick with a routine, or is there something else you want to share?
I think it's a combination of both pivoting and also I'm not really sure what the skill is. Maybe it's just self-image development. So you're not guilting yourself for not for failing. Um, oh, like being sick and pivoting from your regular routine, that is not a failure. And in the past, I would have guilted myself heavily. You are a horrible person. You got sick. You weren't taking care of yourself. Now here you are, like horrible, horrible rabbit hole type situation. But today, I sit here and I'm not guilting myself for being sick. It has been an inconvenience in some places, and that's just okay. Like that's just the way it's been. And so I would say eliminating that guilt because for me that was huge.
Awesome. Compassion, self-compassion. So beautiful. Kamia, what about you? What's a skill or a technique or strategy you're actively using to stick with a routine?
I guess it's more for me was the remembering what the end goal is. And in that, redefining what routine means in my head. That it doesn't mean it's a set in stone, permanent structure forever and ever. Amen. That I'm in a routine right now that is like a tango routine. It's going to be faster, it's a little bit fiery, and it's not forever, but we have a lot happening. And then it's going to slow down and it's going to be another type of a dance. Or like when we get sick, there was that same mentality of like, oh, you know, that risk of hurting self-image again. And shifting that, going, oh no, we have a sick routine and this is what this looks like. Or we have a travel routine, or you know, we have a when dad is gone routine. So I think this strategy, honestly, just staying within a managed, not only managed mindset, but a managed consistency, is navigating through, okay, this is where I'm at. Like, this is the ordinary time. This is not the ordinary time. And being able to pick and choose from my own routines, because then it just all falls into play. It's like choosing a menu. You have all the ingredients already listed out there. You know how to do this, and my family knows how to do that. And so we can all just shift with it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, January Donovan said one time, I'm gonna botch this quote. I always botch the quotes, I'm sorry. But it's something like, I'm not married to a specific routine. I'm married to the idea of having a routine. I'm not giving up on having a routine, but I mean, she's got a lot of kiddos. So she's like, do you think our routines aren't shifting every like 6 weeks? They are. They are, with every sport, everyone's so different. I was thinking about, if you've got kids, it's going to be different. If you've got teenagers, my goodness, how busy they are. Your routine is going to be wild. And it might be different from day to day to day. Maybe your afternoons. I have one client who has like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine and a Tuesday, Thursday routine, and then a weekend routine. And it just gives her some sanity, because she just felt like absolutely mentally chaotic all of the time before she could just find that rhythm. Yeah, Kamaya, I thank you for sharing that. There was something else too you mentioned. Oh, almost like having anchor points. That's what you shared. Like, if we're sick, we still have these just basic anchor points we do in our sick routine. It's like we still brush our teeth, we still whatever like it is, we still eat lunch. Like, there are still these big major anchor points, so that all of the family and my own brain can see where I am in my day, and really just bring me some it removes the thought of, when am I going to get that done? When am I going to get that done? When am I going to that thought that's always in the background of my mind. Having some anchor points in that routine make that voice quiet for me. Audie, what about I guess let's pivot a little bit and ask, if someone were just getting started with routines, what is their next action step? What's something you would suggest?
I would suggest a few things. The first one I would suggest is to think of yourself the way Jesus thinks of you. Like, whether you're struggling with the guilt, or whether you're struggling with the any part of the self-image battle within routine, don't guilt yourself. Don't beat up on yourself. Don't set these crazy high standards. Like, you're gonna figure it out. And remind yourself that he's gonna cheer you on. He's not gonna tear you down. The second thing I would do is finding your weak spot. Like Reagan mentioned, like there's like 4,000 decisions we make before 8 a.m., right? And so if that morning part is too much and you get to the end of your day and you have no capacity left for decisions, like, work on your morning routine, figure something out there. If the evening is just so bad, no matter what you do throughout the day, start with an evening routine. Just pick one type of a routine to focus and put effort in, instead of focusing on the guilt, and put the energy in that. Put the energy into taking action. Just jump in there and take action. Try to figure out a routine. And the third thing I would say is, like Kamaya said, redefine what routine means, and learn to pivot. Those two things combined, I think, like routine, like you said, you're not married to the routine, you're married to the idea of having one. And pivoting, changing the routine, pulling something in and out, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And that means you get to pull out your colored pencils or colored pens or whatever and redo it again if you want it all nice and pretty to put up on the wall. So look at it as a positive. But I would say to take it, um, I would say to do those 3 or 4 steps to eliminate the eliminate the guilt and the negativity. Because if you have the negativity like swirling around, then like it's gonna fall into your routine, right? And we have to bring in the positivity. We have to be like, these things are good, and I am happy, and I'm excited to be doing these things, and Jesus wants me to do this. And so yeah, I would say start there.
I love it. So all of your strategies are really focused on creating a positive outlook around it, and really just the best place to start with that. I just love that is to start
Absolutely.
with Jesus loving you. Kamaya, what about you? Do you have any you want to add to that, or do you want to share a good action step you would take or you would suggest to a friend?
So I think for me, um, to talk to somebody like me, because everybody's different and everybody's experiences are going to be different, and that's so good. That my first step would be to have look at where you already have a routine, right? Like some of us are so amazing relationally already. They're like, oh, this routine, I have a coffee in the morning and we just sit and we snuggle. And that's a routine. So rejoice and celebrate that these are things you're capable of and have already implemented. And not cling to those, but use those as support proof that not only are you capable, but you have some routines that you have kept for a long time successfully and are life-giving. And having those out front and center will help you navigate the routine building itself and that confidence. And then the other part is again, keeping in mind your goals. So for me, my goal was to be able to have the capacity to love and serve my children and my family, and to be able to hold it lovingly and gently and generously be with them. Not micromanaging, not right, no knots, just be. And once I knew what that goal was, that helped me to figure out where to actually start my routines. So the major routine shifts were honoring and recognizing what my children were doing and how I needed to set my day first to be able to see how to best serve their days too, to be able to have capacity. And then, having those date nights with the kids and keeping those things as those main focuses, knowing what your main goal is really helps to figure out what routines you want to actually start playing with. Is really, I would say, those are my 2 things.
I love that. That is so good. And I love to start with the evidence that you're already doing good routines. We are. Lots of us have good routines. I mean, even if it's like we always just pile into bed and watch a movie around 9 p.m. with like, fine, great, that's a routine. Like that's something that we all really misunderstand because social media makes routines look like it's like a 74-step process to like do your skincare routine, or your morning routine is like the perfect workout followed by the perfect smoothie, followed by the sunshine on your face and your bare feet on the earth. And it's like, I love all of those things, but those are not routines. Those are habits. Those are habits that at some point in your life you may choose to pick up or not, but that has nothing to do with you creating a routine for peace. And Kamia, thank you for really rounding that off with like, you knowing your overall goal or your dream first, and then we can design the routine based on what your dream is. Because the woman who her dream is to hold her family gently and generously is going to have a different routine than the woman who's publishing a book this year. Their routines are going to look really different, and that's good. And so we don't need to compare. We don't need to go, oh my gosh, I'm failing at this and this, or I'm not doing what she's doing. And it's just so beautiful that we can all find our own path to a peaceful routine to really get back that willpower. Thank you, friends, for joining us today for Weekly Fellowship. If you've enjoyed today's conversation and want to dive deeper into our community of growth-minded women, I invite you to join the Rising Tide Fellowship. Visit risingtidefellowship.com to connect with like-minded souls, engage in enriching discussions, and discover the support you need for your journey. And for those of you seeking more personalized support, consider working with me, Reagan Clement, at reaganclementcoaching.com. Subscribe, rate, and leave a review to help us reach more hearts.